My wife lied to me and went for a night out with her office colleagues. What can be done? I is married to my wife for more than 10 years and we have a son. Recently, past few months, she is on the phone with a colleague, let's say Mr. M, don't know age, of hers for most of the nights after work, confirmed by my son as I work in a different room, and she will be making my son sleep at night, and sometimes even on weekends. 3 weeks back my wife went on a team dinner where rest of her team except Mr. ML left the dinner by 8. My wife was with Mr. ML from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. Around 11:30 p.m. I called her multiple times on her mobile but she never answered my calls. Around 12:10 a.m. she texted me asking me to sleep and she is on the way back in a cab. Next day when I asked her where she was, she mentioned that after the dinner she walked Mr. ML to his hotel where he was staying and they were discussing office things on the walk back. For the last 2 weeks, I had to travel to a different country where my parents are at for some personal matters. Over the last weekend I called her casually at around 7 p.m. as I wanted to speak to her as well as my son. She mentioned she just started from office and is on the way and better to call our stay-at-home nanny. Which I did. Around 11 p.m., I checked out CCTV child camera and found out that my wife is not home yet. I called her multiple times again and she didn't pick up the call. I called her multiple times throughout the night but she never answered my calls. I checked the CCTV next day morning and I saw her coming into home at 8:30 a.m. She called me after reaching home and I asked her where she had been and she mentioned she was at a party with her colleagues. I asked her who all were there and she started getting angry and defensive. Once I traveled back from my parents' place, I again asked her about who and where the party was. She mentioned they didn't go to any restaurant and were sitting near a famous drinking spot and drinking throughout the night and had the company of Mr. ML and another guy and a girl. I asked her if she had any photos of the party and she told there is none, which I found hard to believe as she keeps taking photos for posting on social media. I asked her why she didn't pick up my calls and she mentioned I will spoil the mood of the party as I might get angry at her over the call. I also asked her that if I haven't noticed it via CCTV would she inform me about it, for which she told she will not inform. During our arguments she kept saying she cannot change these things and even mentioned I am a boring guy and not much fun. FYI, I have never ever told her not to go to any party, but had conveyed my displeasure in her interaction with Mr. ML. I love her but with all these above happenings I have lost trust in her and feel kind of betrayed and feeling very down. She keeps saying she loves me when I am around, but now I feel like it is all just fake. I have booked a marriage counseling session to discuss this out. Can someone please advise if I am overreacting here or if something can be done here? Comment. She doesn't answer your calls when she is out. Come back 8 a.m. when you are away. And she didn't tell you a thing about it before? Dude, you are not overreacting. I think aside of the counseling you should contact a lawyer, just in case. At your marriage counseling session, you might as well accuse her of having an affair, because she is. It's crazy though. It's pretty hard to just set a period to. 10 years is a decade of time that his significant other is willing to give up for something new and shiny, but he values and loves and is still fighting for. New and shiny will very soon become gray and old. I don't know why some people don't just take the time to cherish what they have and what they have made for themselves and relive the times of when they first met by going on little dates even after 10 years of marriage, or surprising the other once in a while. This really makes me sad. I don't understand. You've written each exchange, action, and event in terms of her lying and hiding her relationship with another man, but you're still wondering if she's betraying you? Every single thing in your post only points to that probability. If it really is this bad, then your only choice is to talk with a divorce lawyer. Understand all of your options and confront her with your decision that there is only reconciliation or divorce. Or divorce. Stop torturing yourself and take action to protect yourself. Next story 2. I called things off with someone I was never in a relationship with. I'm completely heartbroken. Was I wrong? Today I called things off with someone I've been talking to the last 4 months. Our emotional bond was amazing. He is everything I need emotionally. I never had to question how he feels or what he would do for me. But he also has personality traits that trigger my past trauma and leaves me without a sense of security. His life and career is in flux, and to be honest, I question his grit to do and persevere through the really hard things he doesn't want to do to get where he needs to be. In my 20s, I would overlook this because everyone is trying to find themselves and their place in life. In my mid-30s, it's hitting differently, and I'm afraid the instability is not a situation thing and more symptom of the personality. I really like him and I know he really likes me, but I don't want to waste any more of his time because even though he feels like my soulmate, he doesn't feel like what I need in a life partner navigating in this world. I felt like I should let him go because there will be someone for which he will seem like both a soulmate and a stable life partner. I didn't tell him any of this because I know this is already an insecurity of his and I don't need to give him ammunition to deepen that insecurity over something he cannot easily control. I told him it's me and not him. I'm sure he's confused and doesn't believe me. But I'd rather that than to destroy his sense of self-worth or his faith in relationships. I don't want to ruin him for the next person because he feels like he was vulnerable with me. It's not his fault that he triggers my specific traumas because the next person won't have the same history. But my heart hurts and yearns for him and I'm completely shattered. Comment. Leaving someone we love, even if it's to protect ourselves, will result in grief and heartbreak. It is expected and normal. Hold the shattered heart in your hands and envelop it with your love, warmth, and understanding. Let yourself be held in these difficult times. The heartbreak doesn't mean it was a wrong call. Next story 3. I got blindsided by my breakup with my ex. Long story short, I got dumped around 2 weeks ago by my ex and I'm not sure how I should go about my life now and if I should keep contact with him. Our relationship lasted around 3 years, kind of a long read ahead, TLDR at the bottom. I always took pride that I had a healthy relationship and tried to maintain it. We were friends before we got together and had a lot in common. We were both focused on personal development. We traveled together a lot and had similar values in life. We both cheered for each other and we grew up together. He helped me feel more confident. As a lonely human, it's the closest connection I've ever had with someone. The problem is that we both had our dream university in the same city and I got in and he did not. The next university he got in is very far away, 6+ HRS, from the city I'll be at. When he got the results I was with him and tried to comfort him. The next 2 days he seemed sad and more distant, but he usually dealt things on his own, so I gave him some space, but we still texted and called. The day we broke up we met for a casual date, 3 days after the exam results. I gave him a love letter too. I was so happy to just finally spend time together properly and I tried to cheer him up. During the date, I bring up how we'll manage LDR and he asks me if there is no other option besides LDR. My jaw dropped. I knew what he was hinting at and I just felt so hurt. Not even a week before I went with him for 2 of his exams and supported him however I could, bought him food, tried to be extra accommodating. 2 weeks before the breakup, we went to a mini date and he told me how nice of a relationship we had and all that, and we had intercourse. It all seemed fine. I got totally blindsided. Back to the breakup. I kept my cool and tried to discuss with him about the options we have. We didn't yell nor fight in any way. He said that we are bound to break up anyways and that LDR isn't for him, and I argued that we ought to at least try LDR. But after discussing it a bit more I realized he was already set on breaking up with me and it was useless to bring other arguments. It felt so unfair. Still does. We both cried. We then joked about other things and tried to light up the mood. We agreed to meet up a few days later to give back some things and we talked again and I told him how unfair and confusing it was for me. He did genuinely apologize and tried to be friendly with me, but I just couldn't bring myself to be as friendly with him and I told him I can't do that anymore because he hurt me. He said he understands, but I still have mixed feelings about all of this. I also asked him if the decision was influenced about other factors, and he stated that he felt unhappy in the relationship lately and LDR prospects were the straw that broke the camel's back. I brought up how it all seemed fine just weeks prior and I couldn't have ever guessed that. I told him that I also had things I wanted to resolve, but I would have been eager to change had he told me about his issues. He did agree that it was his fault for not communicating. We wished success to each other and went our ways. I'm so angry at him because I couldn't even enjoy the summer nor the fact that I got into the uni that I wanted. We have a common friend group and we agreed to split it, but he knew how much I wanted to go with all of them and now it's ruined. These friends meant a lot to me because I didn't find a lot of people to click with and they were just it, and he knew that. On the other side, perhaps it was right to break up now than later, and maybe he was right. I'm just so over the place. TLDR, blindsided breakup, but we didn't fight, he tried to do it nicely. The ex was also my best friend. Should I contact him in a year to check up? Or earlier? Do people keep contact even though they are still angry over the breakup? Comment. You could, but TBH in a year he probably won't even be on your radar anymore. You've changed a lot since you got together with him at 17, and in a few years you'll be an entirely different person than you are now, and so will he. If what he says is true and he's been dissatisfied with the relationship anyway, it means you'd have likely broken up at university. So it's just happened a little sooner than it otherwise would have. Open this new chapter in your life and make new connections. It's never a great idea to cleave too much to the past. You'll probably see him around our hometown when you're on visits home. Just say hello and don't try to get inside his head. Breakups suck, but in this situation you've got more important things to think about.